I'm just going to do it in English. How's that? So Professor Robert Molimard is a professor emeritus of physiology and coordinator of DIU of tobacology to the Faculty of Medicine, Paris 7. Founder of the first French learned society on tobacco and nicotine dependence, inventor of the word tabacologie, author of La Fume and the small handbook of Des Fumes of the Science Edition. To begin, I declare in my honor that I do not have any link of interest neither with the tobacco industry nor with the pharmaceutical industry. I thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me. However, I'm an overbooked old man, and coming to Brussels would have been a bit hard for me. But there is another reason. Anti-tobacco activists are very powerful in France, country which in many respects no longer deserves to be regarded as a human rights country. Up to this day, my aura as an independent scientific tobacco expert has been faultlessly preserved. I am therefore a painful thorn in the sides of these activists because they know very well that I only speak scientific-based truths. They dream of discrediting me, and they attentively watch for the slightest mistake or wrong move I might make. Oh, how triumphant they would be if only they could make me appear as a secret agent paid by the tobacco industry. I am aware of their attacks against the happening of this conference, and he wrote this before he knew that I was cancelled at the Parliament. So I have no doubt that they would somehow twist my presence here as a condemning proof of my alliance with the devil. This is why I prefer to present my position in writing, and more specifically, the extent of my support to your action. First of all, I am a physician. As many of ours, I have to see some of my relatives or close friends suffer and die from tobacco-induced diseases. This is the reason why, 32 years ago, I began to study tobacco dependence in my laboratory. I opened a clinic in my hospital ward to try to help smokers quit, founded a society to promote scientific research on tobacco, and developed a university course that I am still running. I launched the neologism tabacologie to cover these activities. Let us be clear. The only victims of tobacco are the smokers themselves. They do not only pay with their money, a huge amount of money, but especially with their lives. Non-smokers may indeed be bothered by smoke. They have a right not to be smoked out in places they are forced to go. But they are not being killed. I demonstrated why the famous report lifting the smoke screen, 10 Reasons for a Smoke-Free Europe, is a pure lie. A manipulation designed to allow the enactment of coercive laws sponsored by the giants of the pharmaceutical industry, which markets smoking cessation drugs. In that report, they artificially increased by 426% the number of deaths attributed to passive smoking in order to make the statistics reach the level of a major public health problem. Passive smoking risk was up until this report defined by consensus as the risk of non-smokers exposed to other people's smoke. They changed this definition by including active smokers' deaths because, as it is of course difficult to smoke far from oneself, smokers inhale the environmental smoke their own cigarettes produce. In the case of France, according to their own calculations, this spin alone increased the death rate from 1,114 to 5,863. Furthermore, smoking bans in hotels, restaurants, bars, and nightclubs is justified by 6 annual deaths only. Needless to say, the review I published in the Revue d'Épidémiologie et de Santé Publique has been totally ignored by the French media. Iro Cyr made an English translation of it that can be uploaded free from her site, C.A.G.E., Analyse Critique Molimard.html, or from www.formandep.org, which is a French organization that fights against pharmaceutical corruption. As they calculate that 1,007 of these 114 deaths were the consequence of home smoking exposure, the ban cannot possibly be very effective, providing policemen do not break down the door of your private home with battering rams to report your smoking spouse. As a physician, I have to fight against diseases due to smoking. There are two approaches I can take towards this goal: help smokers quit and reduce the risks related to using tobacco. I am a strong opponent to the present official policies. They are not directed against tobacco noxiousness and smoking dependence, but against the victims who are the smokers. Each time they light up a cigarette, not only do they already feel guilty when they think about how they misuse their money, how they will die prematurely, leaving a widow and 3 children with no means of support, but they are now accused to be the murderers of their neighbor or of their non-smoking spouse. They need to escape such an unbearable guilt. In fact, some feeble personalities will stop smoking, but stronger ones will not tolerate such an attack on their identity and will instead reinforce their smoking. Case in point, the Irish Ministry of Health recognizes that the smoking prevalence increased from 27 to 29% after the ban. Regarding risk reduction, the WHO campaign declared that all forms of tobacco are dangerous, even though it has been demonstrated that using oral smokeless tobacco, such as the Swedish snus, is over 90% less hazardous. As a citizen, I strongly support that smokers have the right to smoke because it helps them get through life, relieves anxiety, and offers them some pleasure. Any prohibition seems inhuman to me, especially in situations where there is no escape, such as in prisons or psychiatric hospitals. But I cannot fully agree with any smokers' rights movement. Such a denomination is ambiguous because it also implies a smoking promotion. Honest physicians cannot agree, just like they would not agree with the suicide rights movement. I neither smoke nor use smokeless tobacco, but I am ready to die for your right to do so. Well, maybe I would temper Bertel's thought down a little and go with the one from Georges Brassens: to die for ideas, fine, but make it be a long, lingering death. As a member of the French Human Rights League, I am deeply affected by the troubling rising tide of hindrances to freedom. Little by little, the walls are closing in. A kind of slow rightening that is going to expose many, even democratic countries, to the danger of being taken over by some dictator, henchman of anonymous, heartless multinational trusts, with all the tragic consequences that we know. There are no small freedoms. We have to fight fiercely to stand up for every one of them. If the Spirit gathers the members of this conference, they will find here my hearty and open support.